Some things just go together. Wine and cheese, flowers in springtime, and yes, books and bottles. We pair your favorite author with your favorite drink. Your host of Books and Bottles, Benita Johnson.
Hi, welcome to Books and Bottles. I'm your host, Benita Johnson. This is the show where we introduce you to your favorite author, his or her work, and we pair it with a wine or spirit. We're so excited to be here with you tonight to introduce you to another phenomenal author. If you've been with us before, welcome back. We certainly appreciate you. If this is your first time, we appreciate you equally. We invite all of you to share. We want to grow our audience, and we're so happy that you're a part of our family. So tonight I'm back home. As you can see the background, very familiar. I am home in my home of Richmond, VA. And it's perfect because my author is like, I want to say she's like a neighbor at one point. We probably were neighbors because I went to high school with her sister. So I am so excited to introduce you to tonight, coach, spiritual coach, life coach, author, Miss Vivian Gill.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Good. So it's so great to meet you. So I want to say this. When I first connected with you on Facebook, I think it was when I saw you were an author. I did not know that you were like a sister of a friend who graduated with me and lived like a block and a half away. So we all grew up in Montezuma.
Yes,
just outside of Richmond. I mean, I live in Churchill now, so less than a mile away from where I live is where we grew up. So we are family, and we've never even known it. So welcome, fam. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So I just want to give people, since I said I'm home and things happen at home, if you follow me on Facebook, you know I have a 2-year-old grandson, so I don't know when he's going to crash the set. So hopefully we can get through the show without him. So I don't know.
Okay.
So Vivian, let's jump into what you're doing. So we're going to talk about your books, and we're going to talk about 2 of them. One, we probably were supposed to have this conversation almost a year ago.
Yeah.
And you had a family issue. And we're going to talk about your book, Filling the Hole Within Your Soul. And then since then, I think you wrote a book called The Silent Christian. So before you became an author, what were you doing? What led up to Vivian the author?
Well, my first book was Down Is Not Your Destiny. And that came in between jobs.
Okay.
And of course, Wholeness, Filling Your Hole Within Your Soul. I actually talk about the things that I went through that made me realize that I had a hole within my soul.
Okay.
And as I said in the book, you know, having a conversation with a family member, and he talked about the hole that was in his soul, and it resonated with me. And I went home and started typing. And there you have it. The book was written.
Okay.
And of course, The Silent Christian came after Wholeness, Filling Your Hole Within the Soul. But we're going to talk about the Wholeness one first, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about that because I think, like as you mentioned, your first book was Down Is Not the Destiny. What was it called?
Down Is Not Your Destiny.
Down Is Not Your Destiny. And a lot of times we don't hear God's voice until we're not doing anything else. We allow work and life to distract us. And so you were without a job, as you mentioned, and that's when you kind of was in your space to write this book. So tell us about that journey.
Like I said, I was in that space where I had more time to sit down and think and you know, contemplate on what's going on in my life. And I just started writing my thoughts on paper about everything that had happened to me. And as I was writing and studying the Word of God, I began to realize that, you know, this was the place actually I really needed to be in order to have this revelation about how important it is that we all are whole and filled, you know, in our lives, and not wait until times get hard and we get desperate and, but to be able to smoothly go through, those difficult times in our lives. I hope I answered your question.
No, you did answer my question
Okay.
because yeah,
Okay.
you did. Because sometimes it's like, it gets hard when we're without a job. Like we depend on these jobs and this is our
Yes,
lifeline. And so, but we sometimes forget where our root is. So it kind
exactly.
of takes us to go there to see. So, all right, filling the hole within your soul. What was on your mind when you wrote that book?
What was on my mind is I know that I'm not the only person in the world who have experienced the things that I have experienced. And I wanted to help someone else to feel better about themselves and know that, yes, God truly does love us.
Mhm.
And there is comfort, in His Word and in Him. And just, it's not a spoiler alert, but I'll say this: God is the only one that can fill that hole within your soul. We chase after goals, accomplishments,
Men.
men, yeah, other partners or whatever you're into these
Hmm.
days. But for real, our number one thing ought to be to seek Him first. And then all these other things, He said, will be added unto us.
So, how do you? I mean, a lot of us have grown up in church.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going because we didn't have a choice. Your
Yes.
mama said you had to go,
Yep.
and you went 8 times a week. So what do you suggest to people today? We don't have to go, and we don't have to worship at all. So how do you suggest to folks today to find that root again if that's not what you do?
Well, I think you need to, for me as a Christian, my root is in God. And so studying for myself, like you said, a lot of us have gone to church because we had to go to church. Some of us go to church just to say that we went to church. But I think the most important piece that's missing is that we don't have a relationship with God. And that starts with praying, you know, seeking a power that is higher than yourself, for answers. And fortunately for me, I have the Holy Bible for that, and not just taking everybody's word for things, but actually finding proof and evidence for yourself. That's what helped me
So I know you're
on
an
my journey.
author, but what else do you do? I think it's something else that you do to kind of
Well,
help people find their center.
right now I am a certified Christian life coach, and I'm a coaching master. So I help people who feel like they're stuck in life, get out of that rut that they're in and start pursuing whatever dreams it is that they are trying to achieve. So I walk them through that process. I'm more like their accountability person. I hold them accountable for what they're seeking to achieve, and then, walk them through the process. So it's like a eight week process. I might meet with you once a week. We'll get out some assignments that you need to do for that week to get you closer to reaching your goal or your destiny that you're trying to get to.
Right. And I understand exactly what you're saying and I appreciate that. So when like I mentioned earlier, we were gonna meet earlier, and so it's been some
Mhm.
time. And so since then, this new book, and it could have been out when we talked, I don't know.
Yeah.
But The Silent Christian, what is that about?
Whew, the Silent Christian came out right during the pandemic.
Okay.
And to be honest, I was a little frustrated with Christians. I was like, there's so many Christians in the world. Why is there so much hate? Why are we not loving each other like Christ said we should love each other? And this silent Christian, that's what we were being. We were silent. We weren't letting our voices be heard or our actions be seen. And so I wrote this book, and it deals with all different aspects of life, um, of what would happen if we as Christians did what God said we were supposed to do. And that is uh, too often something different from what we're doing,
So
you
it's
know.
interesting because I do a lot of um I'm going to say polite debate. That's what I'm going to call
Mhm.
it. I
Okay.
do polite debate. And so some people are quick to lead with, I'm a Christian. And
Right.
then at the same time, you're not sticking up for me, or you're
Mhm.
not um, backing me or doing what I think you should do to protect all of God's children, right?
All of
All of
God.
God's children.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, like, specifically, I was having a conversation with the lady who was saying, I don't see color. And that's like, I need you to see my color so
Yeah.
you can know that this is perseverance, not privilege, right?
Right.
So,
Yes.
but she kept saying, I'm a Christian. And I was like, yeah, but we need you to fight. I need you to fight just like everybody else. So, does your book speak to that?
Yes, it does. It speaks to us as well, I'm sorry, I don't like that term anymore. As Black people. Um, it talks about homosexuality. God loves them just as much as he loves me. He loves you. Who are we to say that they are wrong? We're supposed to love them. That's not our job. It's not my job as a Christian to judge you. That's between you and God. Has nothing to do with me. All I'm supposed to do is love you. And like you said, help you, you
Yeah.
know, if you need help. So I can't say that I don't see your color or I don't see your being gay. I don't know the proper term, so please forgive me.
Right. Yeah.
Your alternative lifestyle, let's say that. I can't say that I don't see that because I do see it. But when you're walking in what God has called you to be in, you see it, you understand their struggle, but that's not the first place you start at. You want to get to the individual, um, that individual, and find out what their individual needs.
So I think there's and since you mentioned, your one of your guides is the Bible. Well, your key guide is the Bible.
Hmm.
Do you feel, I guess before I ask the question, I should say what I want to say. And so, like, one of the things I see that could deal with the silent Christian and deal with how they handle things is like the Beatitudes. And so they
Hmm.
say one of them is the meek shall inherit the earth. And
Right.
so, some people are very literal. And so they're going to take things exactly like they are. And so they're going to be quiet and not say anything about all of these things. Like I can remember, um, I had one grandmother who was very quiet, and of course she was raised during Jim Crow and all of
Hmm.
this civil rights madness. And so she was very quiet because, one day Jesus was coming and he was going to take all of us. And so I'm like, okay, but Jesus don't mean for me to sit right here now and take all of this BS that's coming my way. And
Okay.
so how do you, because the meek was going to inherit the earth according to my
Right.
grandma, so
Right.
how do we, you know, empower Christians that, okay, while we're here, we're supposed to stand up and we're supposed to be these soldiers that we're built to be. So how do we empower
Exactly.
people to step out of the literal um words of the guide, and the guide is the Bible in our conversation, to kind of step up and do what's right?
I'd say first they have to be taught. I had to be retaught because I had learned a lot. I've been in the church all my life. So I had to be retaught. I had to go in for myself and see what it actually does say. And then once you educate people, then people have a better understanding of what does it mean. Does it mean when I stand up, I'm supposed to be burning cars and busting out window? No, that's not what it means. We can look at Paul was a good example when he spoke up about what he believed in. He wasn't having a riot. He said what he meant and he meant what he said. Same thing with Jesus Christ. He said what he meant and he meant what he said. He never bothered anybody, but everybody bothered him. But he always stood up for himself, you know?
Yeah.
He
You can
didn't
be
bite his
strong
tongue.
and not a nuisance or not boisterous.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
I think about the civil rights, Martin Luther King's stance.
Mm-hmm.
He was nonviolent. They went and they sat at the lunch counters. It was a powerful thing that they did, but it evoked so much anger around them, but they stood firm on what they
Yeah.
believed. So the silent Christian can encompass all types of areas. I mean, it goes because Christianity is supposed to be a lifestyle, you
Right.
know, and it was a lot of things that bothered me that made me write this book. Um, some people I meet who say they're Christians, they're stiff necked, or I'm better than you are, or no, it's not like that.
Yeah.
We all sisters and brothers. You may be further along than I am. That doesn't make you less than me. You
Right.
just on your journey and I'm on my journey.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe a lot of it is me. You know, I love people. I love digging into people. And, we're all at different spots in our lives. But I think if we have a better understanding, then we can start to do better.
Right.
And so, on top of that, I do have a YouTube channel, which is Silent Christian No More, which
Okay.
talks about various different topics. I just started it a couple of months ago, but I'm going to be dealing with a whole lot of topics. And your topic you just brought up to me about how we deal with people who are different from us, I would definitely put that as a topic on my
Yeah, because
channel.
we definitely, of course, we all walk this earth,
Hmm.
and there's a whole lot of things that we have to deal with. We contend with a lot of challenges each day. And
Right,
so, I would imagine for those who say that they are Christian, it's as challenging for them as it is for those who don't profess any type of spiritual doctrine, I should say.
right,
It's,
right.
it's challenging either way because we all walk this life, and how we handle it is probably what separates us the most.
And I think too, although it's titled The Silent Christian, in the first part of the book, I talk about it's not just for Christians, because some people don't want to identify as that. But I think as human beings, we need to learn how to love one another better, how to help one another, because we're all in this thing together.
Yeah.
Just like we have the war over there in Israel. If somebody dropped a bomb over here, ain't nobody gonna care what religion you are.
That's the truth.
You know, we had an ice
That's the
storm,
truth.
one summer. It didn't matter that it was white people or, Mexican or Oriental people. All of us cooked food. We had a big old cookout because
Right.
nobody had electricity. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? None of those things mattered at that moment. And really, in reality, they shouldn't matter, but they do.
So let me ask you, as a coach, I know you're a life coach and a Christian coach,
Hmm.
um, a spiritual coach. Do you use your books as like the guides or the workbooks through your coaching process?
I don't specifically. Well, I mean, if a topic comes up and I want to refer somebody, I can.
Okay.
And mainly to the wholeness one, which deals more with us on the inside. But no, we have a set of guidelines, that we lead people through that I learned in my training as a coach. So, and you said spiritual coach. It doesn't matter whether you're a Christian or not. You know, I can coach anybody.
Yeah.
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 So,
Okay. So what do you want our listeners to know about you that we haven't touched on in these books?
Well, I want them to know that all of us have a place and a purpose in this world. And I would love to help you find your purpose or find or get stuck, get unstuck from where you are and start living your life to the fullest. Because this life
Yes.
is so short. It is so short. And I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say I'm a kind-hearted person, but I need to be a little bit more firm in my business because I want to help everybody, but I can't do that and live too, So,
Right.
um, but I really enjoy working with people. I enjoy talking with people from different views, different walks. It doesn't matter. I will hold a conversation with you.
So Vivian, how do we find you?
My website is christiancoachvivian.com.
Christian Coach Vivian.
.com, or you can hit me up on YouTube, which is Silent Christian No More. That's where I really would like for you to come over to and get into the conversation, start a conversation, because I don't have all the answers. There are so many avenues, but maybe you do. And maybe you put your 2 cents in, it'll help somebody else. I'm also on Facebook, of course, Vivian Gill author. Um, yeah, those are about the 3 places I am on. I'm just starting TikTok, so I'm trying to get technical in my old age.
That's right. It takes time. I understand. I understand. So
Yes,
I thank you so much. And I want to
okay,
invite our people. Y'all hear this baby in the background. We're trying to keep the circus going over here.
that's all right.
I want to encourage people to subscribe to your YouTube channel, Silent
Okay,
Christian No More,
yes,
and to hit you up on your website,
Christian, right, Vivian,
christiancoachvivian.com. So we will follow
yes,
you. And your books
okay.
can be purchased on your website.
Yes, they can, or on Amazon. And you can just
Okay.
type in my name, Vivian Gill, and all 3 books will pop up.
Perfect. I thank you
Okay.
so much for being patient with me. It's been like 10 months since we first
I
connected.
know,
So
I
I'm glad we
know.
finally got to have you on the show. I really appreciate you, and I wish you all the blessings that's in store for you and your growth as a coach and as an author. I thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
if we have other authors who like to be on Books and Bottles, please hit us up at info@grosprod.com. Info
Yeah.
at grosprod.com. Thank you so much for being the best part of Books and Bottles. And until next week, we'll see you then. Cheers.
Join
Bye-bye.
us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first.